Welcome to Dark Side of the Badge, where we talk about mental health, wellness, and ultimately suicide. Tonight I have Andrew Einstein, a Marine Corps veteran and current police officer. Thanks, Andrew, for coming on, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tonight we're going to talk about Andrew's story and the progression of how things turned out for him. Ultimately, Andrew came home from his second tour in Iraq.
Mm-hmm. Afghanistan was my second tour.
Yeah. He was a police officer, and basically how his life at that point, just the course of events. So, Andrew, without further ado, if you can just get into basically, if you want to just tell the audience how things started for you, and
yeah, absolutely. So after high school, I needed something. Right, I wasn't ready for college, so I enlisted in the Marine Corps in the reserves. Because I wanted to start my career or try college at least. So I went to boot camp and I came home, after training the next November. And then I became a police officer. So pretty much my career as a police officer and my military service are kind of concurrent, right? So I was serving in the reserves. I started as a part-time police officer, boardwalk cop. I figured I'd try a summer down the shore. If I didn't like it, it was a summer. What the hell. In 2009, my unit got activated for Iraq. And when we came back, I had switched departments. I was working for Riverton Borough Police Department at the time. And I love working there. Great little town. It was where I wanted to do my career. Loved the chief, loved the guys I was working for, all the other towns. I had switched units. I really liked what I did in Iraq, so I wanted to stay kind of in that area. So I switched units and transferred to a civil affairs unit. And, shortly after that, I got orders again to deploy. And so I found myself in Afghanistan. This time, it was a complete 180 from my previous deployment. I mean, Iraq in 2009, it was, I don't want to say it was a vacation, but we didn't fight. We had a pretty serious job, but the war was over. We found the war in Afghanistan. Everything I realized that I still wanted to, when I came back, I was like, I need to know what it's like to be a Marine, right? I never wanted to be infantry. But I was like, oh, man, I need to know what it's like to fight. And it was within, I don't even think it was 2 hours into my first patrol, our corpsman was shot like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, he's good. He survived. But I was like, holy crap, there's 7 months of this. Like, I don't know if I can do this, man.
You got what you're asking for.
Yeah, and then some. It's just, and then that deployment, one of the best, worst things that ever happened to me. Because I got to experience so much. I got to live with some incredible people. I got to walk probably one of the coolest things I did there was walk areas that Osama bin Laden had been to. And look, he's a piece of shit, but it's a part of our history. Like it or not, he is a part of our history, and that was, I'm like, holy crap, so it was a big part of my life. And I ended up getting hurt over there. Can
you go into detail about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, the short of it is I zigged when I should have zagged, and
Did you stub your toe or what?
Yeah, I wish it did. Yeah. We were in a mission. We were staying in a compound for a few days. I was getting ready to go on a rooftop post, and that day was like just really somber. That morning, we had lost our first Marine, and Danny Gurr, he had gotten shot by a sniper. He was killed. Everyone was just like, we were crushed. I met Danny that morning. I didn't typically go with this platoon. So for only meeting him a few hours before, I mean, I was crushed, and I just was watching the rest of the platoon, the guys, his brothers, we were all Marines, but his brothers who served with him and lived with him, the unit was from Japan.
Another reserve unit? Or
they were active duty. Okay. They were stationed in Japan. And I was just, I was like, man, this is awful. Like, I don't know what to do. I barely know them. It was my turn to go up on the rooftop and to get there, we had to walk up the stairs where we carried him down, and the blood was still there. And
Wow.
I was going to grab my helmet, throw my vest on, and it was on a thatch bed. We had it was like, the bed made of hay right by the steps. And when I went over there, I remember thinking it was a rock that, landed on the bed. And it wasn't uncommon for kids to throw rocks at us, whether they thought they were being funny or they were assholes, or, it was just whatever. And I was like, why are they throwing rocks again? And I looked, there was an Afghan soldier that the bed was long ways like this. And there was a wall here. And then the rest of that part of the compound was behind us with the steps to our right. And there was an Afghan soldier on the other side of the bed. And he was wearing a white t-shirt. And it's interesting when you don't speak the same language, but you can speak.
Yeah.
And his eyes said something's not right. And he just was staring at, I'm like, why is he staring at the rock, right? And I looked back, and I'm like, oh, that's why. It's not a rock, it's a grenade. And holy shit. So I turned, and I had my kid on at that point. And I don't say this because I didn't try to jump on him or save him or anything like that. Nothing heroic or anything. I simply try to push him. As I'm trying to get away from it, yo, let's go, right? And somehow both of us kind of fall. And as we're going away this way, I remember hearing just this loud noise. My right ear hurt so bad. I remember grabbing my ear and just screaming. I was like, fuck. I fall into one of the rooms, and it was 5 o'clock at night, bright daylight. It was really dark. And I'm laying on my stomach, and I remember feeling wet. And I was kind of dazed. I said, what's going on? Why am I wet? Right? So I kind of shimmied out, crawled out into the light, and all right, well, it's not blood. My hands aren't red, so I don't know why I'm wet. I'm like, did I piss myself or whatnot? And I very well may have, probably. But my camelback was messed up. And as I was trying to figure this out, the Afghan soldier was right there. And I remember looking at him, and I was really even more confused now because his white shirt was red. And I just remember going, he was wearing a white shirt. Why is it red? And I didn't pass out. I don't remember passing out, but I wasn't with it. And I put a tourniquet on, but I don't really remember the finishing of that. I remember putting the second tourniquet on his arm, and there was a lot of blood coming from underneath him. So I rolled him, and his ass was really bloody. And I rolled him back, and he sat back and lit a cigarette, and I just let them do their thing. And I just sat there and I smoked a cigarette, and I probably smoked 6 cigarettes. I don't know.
The whole pack.
Yeah. And they evac'd him. I even think I said, I can't go on that evac. I said something like that. I don't know. And I just kept smoking a cigarette, and everything kind of calmed down. You good? I said, yeah, sure.
Do you know where the grenade came from?
Outside the compound.
Random.
Thrown over. Yep, it was thrown over the wall. And it wasn't, so that compound we were in, it was a crappy location. That morning before Danny was shot, we had gotten ambushed coming out of it. It was just a choke point. So the decision was made to go condense with the other platoon. So that night we all moved to the other platoon's position. It was, I think there, we got some water from the well that was in their compound. And we had the little, what are they called? The filters, right? Do that. Then the next day we were moving to another compound. A day later, we go to another compound. The well was dry. We were like running out of water. Everyone's getting sick. The one well was bad. So my head is throbbing. I'm seeing double. I'm shitting myself. I'm throwing up. And
as a direct result of
I'm thinking I'm sick. Okay. Everyone's getting sick from the well. I'm like, oh my God, I got like food poisoning from this stupid well, right? Yeah. And they ground evac some guys back to our patrol base that evening or the next evening. When I get back there, start talking to the coroner, the actual trauma doctor, because of the unit I was with, they had a trauma doctor there. And he goes, like, where were you with this grenade? And I was like, right there.
Right next to it, yeah.
And so he does, like, I remember asking, he was like,
he did the test on your ear? That stupid test.
I didn't realize, for hearing, I didn't realize I lost my hearing until, there's a picture of it somewhere, actually. Like the last time I held a phone to my right side.
Wow.
He said, he's like, you have a brain injury. And I'm like, no, I don't. I didn't get hurt. Like, fuck you. Yeah. What do you know? And
Navy Corpsman or Army Corpsman?
Doctor. Okay. Trauma, like Cooper trauma equivalent in I guess the Navy, right? Okay. And I'm arguing with him.
For the guest, I'm Coast Guard and he's a Marine, and we haven't gotten to that point where we bust balls on the services, but we talked about it.
Probably get there, yeah. Well, I went to a deployment.
Yeah.
On land.
Yeah, mine's in the Jersey Shore or
10 miles or less from the shoreline. Or no, 3 miles is international water.
Sure.
Yeah. So, he said something like he said like 3 words. He said, "What did I just say?" And then he said something else, and he's like, well, "What were those words I said before?" I'm like,
abracadabra.
You're an asshole.
Fuck off.
So he's like, all right, maybe I did learn something in school or something, you know. And so I ended up back at the Camp Ashton at their trauma clinic in their hospital, and I got tuned up pretty good. Right before I left, I was sitting outside of our tent, and that's when I realized I had issues with my hearing. I had used a satellite phone to call my grandma, and I'm like yelling, and I put the phone to this ear, and then I put it back, and I'm yelling, and I put it this ear, and then I would like switch, and I'm yelling. I thought it was a bad connection, and then I realized I can't hear on the right side.
Damn.
Yeah, and I was like,
it's not Granny can't hear. It's Andrew can't hear. Yeah.
Like, oh boy, that's not good. And it's interesting, like so when I get back to the what they call it, concussion, it was a whole thing for brain injuries, right? And part of the protocols was you had to see a psychologist or you had to see someone for mental health. So I met with her, and well, all she knows is I'm a Marine. She doesn't know I'm a police officer or that I'm a reservist.
Is this after the deployment type thing?
This is during.
Okay.
This is a week after I'm hurt.
Back in the States or?
In Afghanistan.
Okay.
My whole goal is to try and get back to my guys. Yeah. But in order to do that, one of the steps is to talk to her.
Wow.
But how do I talk to her? I'm not sleeping. There's all these things. I close my eyes. I see Danny getting shot. I'm seeing the grenade land, all these things. But if I start talking, it's probably going to slip out that I'm a cop.
Yeah.
And, well, at that time, you can't have these issues and be a cop.
Yeah.
And
you're worried about your job when you get back home.
Yeah, because if I can't, my thing is if I couldn't be a cop anymore for any other reason besides medically, I'm like, all right, I can go active duty.
Yeah.
Right. But if I'm hurt and I can't be a Marine and I can't be a cop, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I don't know how to, I could barely change a light bulb. Like, my wife literally does all that. And she bought a lawnmower. I was working and she was 9 months pregnant with her first kid. I get a picture from our neighbor. He's like, you're an asshole. I'm like, what? And he sends me this picture of her mowing the front lawn. I'm like, I have questions. Why is she doing it? And where do we get a lawnmower from?
All right. We need to talk after the show on how I can get my wife to cut the lawn.
So I was in this like rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Right. So I was able, I don't even remember if I think I was able to get through without telling her I was a cop. I got through it and I was just like, I need to sleep. I need to figure something out. So I ended up getting back, finishing my tour and coming back. The other thing was they wanted to medicate. They medicated me the first week to like kind of reset my brain.
Do you know what it was?
That was a whole thing, whole bunch of stuff. There was one where, and the corpsman that we had assigned to our team ended up getting flown in to like watch me. And I remember asking him, because I couldn't remember if I took this one medication one night. And I said, yo, doc, is it worse if I think I took it, so I don't take it, but I didn't take it?
Yeah.
Or if I think I didn't take it, but I did take it and I take it again? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, you're the corpsman. So
yeah,
I took it again.
Shit.
And then I didn't go to sleep, and he had to chase me around. I was chasing my shadow. It was pretty awesome. But knowing
it wasn't a long-term med though.
No, I like as soon I was like, the second you aren't like literally threatening me to like not be able to go back, so I can get off this stuff. Like, I don't want medications. Yeah. I know where meds lead. I know my personality, and I'm pretty sure, like I'd be on Broadway.
Yeah.
Like that, I would be that guy, right? And so,
for everyone out there, like Broadway is where like the pimps and hoes are, and I don't know what he'd be doing on Broadway, but he'd be chasing that high or something.
Want to be pimping?
Yeah,
maybe.
So fast forward, you're back in the States.
So
now.
I come back. Yep. Finish my tour, and I come back.
What year is this?
This is now 2012, just into 2012.
Okay.
I realized there was problems literally riding up the escalator to see my family for the first time at 30th Street Station. I'm having issues. I had a death grip on the escalator. I literally wanted to run back down, get in the train, go back, and just figure out how to get back to Afghanistan. I wanted to be on a nighttime patrol instead of seeing my family. I don't know why. I was like, that was more comfortable than doing that. And I see them. I get in the car. I have my phone for the first time. It's going off nonstop. I throw it in the back. My roommate at the time, my two best friends, my dad, and I'm sitting in the front seat, and I break down. And I remember just like the fact that I had this whole welcome home thing, and one of the guys that was killed, he was a canine handler, Chris Diaz. I said, Chris never got this. His family never got this. And I said, why do I get this? Why am I here? And like, I would love to be able to talk to the rest of them now and be like, well, what the hell were you thinking when I did that? Because like no one said a thing. I don't think they knew what to do.
Not to cut you off. Yeah. You're not married at this point, right?
Nope.
No kids.
Nope.
And you're a class 2?
Yep. Class 2, I was a part-time police officer.
Part-time police officer. Mm-hmm. And how long have you been on the job at this point?
This is 2012, so 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you leave 30th Street, you're in the car with your friends, your dad, your phone's going off, and you're just like,
I just
shit, this is too much. Like,
yep. And I said, holy crap. Like,
what do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah, and it just like,
and your friend didn't get this.
Yeah,
he died.
and it's like immediate. Looking back, like that's survivor's guilt immediately, right? And that like all those emotions were the Band-Aid was put on those emotions as the days went on with some celebrations. Just like my core group of friends, I just kind of probably just get me shit-faced.
Sure. Yeah, you're fucked up.
And as the time went on...
How old are you at this point?
24.
Okay.
Yeah, 23, 24.
Okay. What else do you do at that age on Friday night?
But and you know what's interesting? Like I at night I wasn't sleeping. I was having awful flashbacks. This same shit. Like I'd close my eyes, I'm back, and in a bad way. And so I was drinking in order to sleep.
Sure.
But for the 8 to 12 hours, like it was like 1 or 2 days a week. I was working as the part-time class too.
Yeah. Saving the world.
Of course. I was fighting crime. I mean, come on, Rivet and Borough.
Yeah.
I was putting bad dudes.
Crushing crime.
Yeah, it wasn't, come on. The worst of the worst. And it was like it was essentially, I'd be like the Coast Guard of the police. So there it is.
There it is, folks.
So, if I had to go to work the next day, I'd either stay awake so I wouldn't drink because I didn't want to risk missing my shift.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I got to work, I was good.
Yeah.
I was
You're back on that train. You're back on that high.
I had, it's interesting. When I was over in Afghanistan, at 23, I had, with civil affairs, I had a backpack and there was cash in it at all times. So like 25 grand minimum at all times. And they were like, bit on my job was to, essentially I had to spend it in order to bring stabilization to the area. But like, they trusted me to do it.
Yeah.
Right. I spent like $250,000. And then I had all these weapons and like all the shit we did. Now I come back and the state says that because I'm a part-time cop, I have to lock my gun up because they don't trust me. And so when I get to work and putting on that uniform again, right? Like that's a whole other issue. I get to look good. I get to make the uniform perfect. I get to go to work and then I get to put the gun in the holster and I'm going on patrol to help somebody potentially. Like my presence is helping.
And not to cut you off, you're I didn't even say this in the beginning, but Andrew runs a podcast, 1023 podcast, and he had an interview the other day, and Earl Granville, his first guest, being a part of something.
Yes, that community.
That was what I assume.
And the purpose.
Yeah, there's a 3 Ps: purpose, passion, and part of something.
Yep.
Yeah, so that I assume falls into that at that point. Yeah.
When I got to work, it was great. Like I still had, so I still
back
had,
on that high.
It wasn't like I was freaking out, And the other thing I found too was if me and you were at the bar, dude, I was like this hyper vigilant, didn't like it. So this, I would just bring me a pitcher, let's down it. Bring me another pitcher, let's down it until I can. Literally the alcohol forces my body to calm down.
Yeah, and
that was my only way to I refused to do medication because I knew what would happen. Yeah. But at work, if I get in a group, if people get too close to me, get back.
Yeah.
If you say fuck you, I can go, okay, get back.
Yeah.
And you say it one more time, I said, well, I'm allowed to either say you're under arrest or I can physically push you away from me. When I'm not a cop, and being in class 2, or even if I was full time, right? Not at work, that's assault.
Sure.
And drinking kept me from doing that. And I had all these issues on top of I'm deaf. Like I'm hiding the fact that I have one ear. I put I have my mic here. And I remember one day, the chief was like, hey, I was riding solo, but I was in the shadow face. He goes, hey, where's your FTL? I was like, looked outside the station. I don't know. His car's not there. He dropping off tickets. He goes, where is he? I said, chief, it's not my turn to watch him. He goes, did you miss a call? I'm like, no, we never get calls.
There's no calls here.
Well, you missed a call. I'm like, okay. Right? And my mic's right here. Yeah. And I said, chief, I didn't hear it. And he realized, and this is how great a chief he was. The next day I came in, he had an earpiece for me.
Wow.
That was the last day I didn't wear an earpiece. So I always had an earpiece in my left ear. My mic's always in the middle too, just because I got so used to it. Yeah. And I look back now and I realized he had already realized a lot of things.
Wow. And
going fast forward a little bit, that whole getting my space issue, there was an incident that compounded, and Pandora's box opened one night, and some things happened. Police were called, separated. Hey, go that way. Thanks, brother. See you. A couple weeks go by. Chief brings me in. We're driving. I'm driving. He's in the passenger seat. And he smacks me. And I look over. Again, no one knows I can't hear out of my right ear. I would kind of just like drive like this.
Mm-hmm.
But he smacks me. So I'm like, oh, shit. I think he knows. And he says, look, I want to ask you a question. And I want you to give me a truthful answer because I want you to know I'm not here to hurt you. I want to help you. I'm like, oh boy.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
And he goes, do you have a drinking problem or an anger problem? I damn near crashed the car. And we were in Palmyra, which was awful because like now it's their problem for the report, you know. And I said, no, I'm good. He's like,
wow, what's up, Chief?
He's like, let's go back to the station. Drive back. We had a great conversation. And he explained how he had heard some things. And this is where he's like, I know you're going through a lot of stuff. I want to see you keep your job. I don't want to see you lose this. After the conversation, I went home and I said, I'm a part-time class 2. No union protection. He owes me nothing.
That's pretty honorable of him.
He should have months ago gone, hey, listen, it's not working out.
Yeah.
Appreciate everything you've done. We're going to have to hire someone else.
Yeah.
Instead, he's sticking his neck out. I said, you know what? I'm not going to get that off.
Mm.
And I stopped drinking.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was, that was after a couple other things, but it was, it's just everything that led to where I am today, you know?
That's awesome. So you leave, in the meantime, you're trying to get hired full-time, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens between, there was like a couple of hiccups along the way between your cert was running out.
So, obviously in New Jersey, we know, we have USERRA, which, for those of you who don't know, it's an acronym that protects you for serving in the Guard or the Reserves. It's a way to help incentivize, I guess, people to serve in the Reserves and Guard, and it doesn't allow your employer to discriminate against you. I graduated the police academy in 2008, and with that, you get 3 years from becoming a class 2 to get hired full-time and be able to get waived to a full-time cert without having to go back. I deployed in 2009. I was gone for a year. There's a whole year of the 3 years down the drain.
Yeah.
Thinking of USERRA, I said, all right, well, that pushes that year back. I deployed again in 2011. Again, that would be my last year. That's going to push it back one more year. I have one more year now. Chief says, listen, I would love to hire you. We just can't. We don't, we're a 4-man department. But I'm going to get to Palmyra's hiring. And I said, holy crap, I'm going to become a full-time cop. That's my dream.
Cool.
They go through the motions, and the PTC comes back and says, nope, he's got to go back through the academy. And they're like, well, he deployed 2 of the 3 years he was eligible to be waived. And they're like, well, it is what it is. And the kicker, the head of the PTC, he's a Marine. Yeah, I learned that after so now I'm in this rock and a hard place where everyone was only hiring full-time certs or waivable class 2s. No one had money to send to the academy.
Sure.
I'm like, great.
Now what?
Yeah, that was exactly, and now what?
So you get a break with West Hampton?
I got, break is a really good way to put it. I really thought, I was like, you know what? I started looking at going to other states, but I bought a house after Iraq with the VA loan. That
stuck in Jersey, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm stuck. So I was offered a job with West Hampton, and they said, don't worry about having to go back to the academy. We can send you. Awesome. Go there, and I'm like, holy crap, these guys have nice cars. They wear tack vests. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
That's I'm part of something. Yeah.
So I remember going through the other thing that the chief in Riverton taught me. He really taught me how to interview. Oh,
What's this guy's name? Just
Chief Scholl, John Scholl.
John Scholl.
Yeah,
so like a good dude.
Not just a great dude, but like a leader for such a small department. Like I would love to see him lead one of the big cities because
awesome.
I think he would just do phenomenal. And he just taught me so much about speaking and job interviews, not just not interviews for suspects or anything like that, like job interviews. And when I went to the interview for West Hampton, they asked me about the worst day of my life. And I said, well, there were 2 worst days of my life. And I talked about Danny getting killed. And then I talked about the day I tried to kill myself. I said, the 2 of them equally have an impact on my life because one led to the other. Not that specific day, but like that event.
So you told them this?
Oh yeah. I said, I was completely upfront.
Yeah. Did you drop some jaws to the floor this time? Like
I remember them, the one lieutenant was like,
can you repeat the question?
Does no questions? Okay. All right. Wow. Yeah. And I was like, and my story to me, and there's nothing crazy different than thousands of other people that have gone overseas.
Sure.
Right. And regardless of the job they come back to, people go to war, people get hurt, people die. There was didn't run into battle to save some, I did nothing valorous. I wasn't,
That's your perspective, first off.
But I wasn't like
from the Coast Guard guy.
But you hear these stories of guys that get shot a couple of times, they just keep fighting, right?
Sure.
Like I literally got a headache and fell down and was like, I'm out. I'm just going to sit.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
If you say my head hurt. And I said, I'm done.
So. As your friends died, and yeah.
But I wanted to be upfront with them, and it's also not normal for a guy with my personality, and as brash as I am, and as outgoing as I am, and every bit of who I am. It's not normal for someone kind of like me to be sober. And I was sober at the time. So I kind of wanted to explain that because I figured it was going to come out regardless of, at some point, whether in my FTO or just getting to know people, they're going to figure out my story.
Yeah.
And, well, I don't want it to bite me in the ass 2-3 years down the road when they're like, whoa, this guy is, oh boy. Let them make their decision right off the bat. If they don't want to hire me then, that's fine.
The truth shall set you free.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I passed plenty of psychology, psych tests to get hired. So I wasn't worried. And I was doing everything. By that time, I was sober. I was getting help. I was doing everything to get better.
Okay.
And they, I was very upfront with them. Fast forward to, this is 2013, fast forward another year and a half, I go to CIT training. I'm sitting in that course, and for everyone that doesn't know CIT, Crisis Intervention, it's a 40-hour course to teach law enforcement officers how to deal with persons in crisis. More than just, you're acting abnormal, we're going to slap some cuffs on you and take you to jail. It's how to get them the help and identify problems that they have and try and not just put the Band-Aid on, but sew up the wound and fix it really at the base. So I'm sitting in that course and I'm listening to words like consumer and all these different terms about mental health. And I go up to the instructor who I knew afterwards. I said, listen, man, we got to talk. I'm a consumer. And he's like, what do you mean? So let me give you a quick rundown of the past 5 years of my life. And I think I need to start coming to this class and talking, because what we have here, cops that come to this thing, And what I'm about to tell you, I think we can maybe help save some cops. And I think this is the platform. And I told him, I said, let me come in, talk about, I'll use it I'm going to teach you about dealing with persons with service animals. It is important. You don't want to be the guy that gets called to the restaurant for someone with a service animal, and you don't want to be wrong when you're on YouTube.
Sure.
Right? But I said, but let me add in my story and teach you guys how to get help, because I almost killed myself. And,
So at this point, we're talking 2013, 2014?
Yes.
And you had already had an attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do tell. I mean, if you want. Yeah. So you're in the class and it kind of triggers you like, shit, there's a need to help.
I said, wow, there's a name for this. Like, that's me. We're back up a little bit. And I realized that once I got back, right? And again, when I was at work, things were great. I had that purpose. Yeah. And it's funny. I wish I knew Earl back then, because I would have I could be like, yeah, I got the 3 Ps.
Yeah.
And when I wasn't at work, all I was doing was hitting the bottle. And I just felt like I was becoming a drain on my family, my friends, more so my closest friends, because man, I was being an asshole.
Mm.
I was that guy. Not only was I drinking a lot, but like I was flipping out in bars, like just losing my mind and running out of bars, and then have to go chase me down the block. I ran out of a bar in Manium, and they found me in my buddy's truck on the floorboard of his top, in between the back seat, like face down, like shaking and crying. And he's like, "How did you get in my truck?" It was locked. We still haven't figured it out. Like that, and it just got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting better. It's only getting worse. I was acting extremely reckless on top of all the bad things. I was trying to chase the stuff from Afghanistan that I couldn't get anymore. Fear of death, that adrenaline rush, things I couldn't find, driving my car when I shouldn't.
Did you keep this with everyone?
No one knew.
Nobody knew. Okay.
And I think because of after Iraq, when we just kind of partied, the 21, 22-year-olds,
sure,
they just kind of thought that was me.
How long do you think this went on for?
I got back in, first week of January 2012, May 5th, 2012, I tried to kill myself. So 4 months, 5 months.
What do you think led up to you feeling like that was the day to end your life? Like, can you break that part down?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually pretty calculated.
So you knew, that was it.
I picked that day specifically. So I knew for a couple weeks I wanted to die. I didn't want to be here. And it was really hard for me to want
you
to...
mentioned, I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah,
you mentioned burden, though. Like, you said you were a burden. What? Can you elaborate on that, though?
I felt that, every time I got... My one group of friends, we were all volunteer firemen, and always hung out together. We grew up together. We were always at someone's house, and I felt like just every time I showed up, my assumption was that they felt like I was going to be a pain in the ass. Mm. That was my assumption. And and then I thought that somehow was trickling down to my family, all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm a journalist society. I'm not getting better. I'm a disgrace to...
Did you get feedback from your friends or family or anybody, or you just felt that way?
No, I just felt that way. And I didn't talk to anybody about it. No one, I kept it all internal. And look, people call me an asshole in my face.
Sure.
I got kicked out of bars. People said they didn't like drinking with me, but that was because of my drinking habits, which, were part of this whole issue.
Yeah.
But it was just, everything was so compounded. And it was when I decided that I'm like, you know what, I'm better off dead than alive. It was a very easy decision. it was interesting. It's like, so before Afghanistan, I wrote letters to my family, and each letter was like, it was really hard to write because it's like, hey, you know, these are the letters you're going to read if I'm dead because I was killed in war.
Wow.
Right. And like, what do you want the last thing for my little sister, Sid, and my little brother, Brian? What do you want them to have? The last thing you're ever going to write to them, and they're going to read that for the rest of their lives. Or how do you end that? Right. Luckily, they never got those letters.
Because you didn't send them, or
I didn't die. They didn't get. They weren't getting them unless I died.
Okay.
I wrote letters again. And they were going to get these letters, but they were. It was a completely different. Like I remember writing my sister. You know, she was young. She was 7 years younger than me, and I surprised her in high school, and I was her hero. And I said, I was sorry for lying about everything you thought I was. I'm not this strong hero, this whatever you thought, I'm not. And I'm sorry for giving up. And I thought about explaining it, but it was just apologetic. And I wrote the letters. That was the hardest thing. The decision to want to die, easy. The letters were hard, but it didn't change my mind. The next hardest was the fact that I planned May 5th specifically. And those 2 to 3 weeks where, like, there's a video on YouTube. I was speaking at the JCC, and my cousin actually found it, and I never even realized until I saw this. And this is after I started speaking, and I said, Just, I already knew I wanted to die. Like, that's what suicide looks like. And you came, I'm smiling. I'm laughing. I'm making jokes. Inside, I'm dead. And I'm just waiting for May 5th. And I picked that day specifically because I had a dog that I was scheduled to pick up on May 6th. He was going to become my service dog. I felt that if I had killed myself the night I decided to kill myself, that I wanted to die, if I was like, boom, dead, there was enough time to where my parents and family would grieve and then probably want to pick up that dog and like name it Andrew or Andrew 2.0 or whatever and like make it a memorial to me. And I felt so bad about being on this earth and what I was doing to this earth and my family. I said, I just want to be gone. I figured if I had the dog and I killed myself, well, now it's being selfish in more ways because now they have to deal with my death and take care of this dog. So I was like trying to like think of my family a little bit. Yeah. You know, I realized, so like I knew I was being selfish, but I didn't give a shit. I said, I'm hurting. I don't care about them. Like, sorry, you're going to be sad. That sucks. But this hurts more than you can. I can't even explain to you. I'm done. So I figured I'll do it the night before. They're supposed to come pick me up. They're coming to my house to pick me up, to take me to get my dog. They'll come in and find me. And they'll just figure it out. And the dog will go to someone else.
So you went out that night with your friends? What?
So ironically, I didn't have access to a firearm because I had to lock it up at the end of shift. And statistics say if you have access to a firearm, you're 66% more likely to use that firearm if you are suicidal. I don't know if I would have. I don't know. I just got my firearms ID card last year. Like, I'm not a gun guy. Like.
But you mentioned pills, right?
Yeah. So because of that, I did pills. I put a bottle of pills on my nightstand. I also didn't want it to be. I knew it was going to be hard for my family. I didn't want any type of image. You know, like I knew how hard it was for me to see Danny. I didn't want that same issue to manifest with them. So I figured, well, if I take pills, I'll be sleeping. Like, hopefully I don't throw up.
Sure.
I'll be dead. Who cares? So I put a bottle of pills in my nightstand, go out for Cinco de Mayo, like every other 23, 24-year-old does. I figure I'll just get shit-faced. Yeah. And by that time, I'll have so much liquor in my system, I'll just take the bottle of pills, and there is no way I can not survive that. Yeah. Or I can survive that, right? I'm done. I'm going to go to sleep, and that's going to be great. I'm out. And I drank a lot, and I remember feeling oddly euphoric. I knew at the end of the night what was coming. It was just calm. But we were partying, and they plopped me on my couch. Pills were by my bed. The next morning I wake up, parents are banging on the door at this point. I remember hungover. They're banging on the door, and I just kind of come to, and I hear the alarm clock. That alarm clock made me feel worse than I think I could ever felt. So when especially hear that alarm clock, right? And I'm like, I can't even kill myself. I can't even do that right.
Fuck that up.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I fucked that up. And it's like, my parents are like, what do I do? I'm hungover. Now I'm hungover. I gotta go get this dog. And I remember sitting there in the back of the car, like I'm just staring at the clock and the radio. And I'm like, I still want to die. And come here. I still want to die.
Here's Andrew's prop.
Over here. What do I do? Do I tell him? Do I say, hey, I tried to kill myself last night. What happens? We drove to Hal, and I picked him up, and my mom snapped a picture right as I picked him up, and you can tell I'm hungover. I was still in the shirt from the night before, and the second I picked him up, I knew I couldn't kill myself anymore. Like that moment, my problems didn't go away, but I'm like, I have to get better. Now I have all the time, purpose, responsibility. He's my community.
Sure.
And I focused all my energy into him and training him and working with him. And the greatest thing about him and what he did for me was, like I said, my problems didn't stop there.
Yeah.
I didn't become sober, and that whole thing with the chief and all that was like a month, maybe 2 months later. That was a long time. So I was still, when I wasn't working, I was still drinking a 30-pack of beer plus liquor every day. He never judged me.
Yeah.
He didn't give a shit. He loved me no matter what. And that was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good shit, man. All right, so let's fast forward back to that happens. You get the dog, back to CIT training, and you realize there's an opportunity for you to be able to say, hey, I think I might be able to help other cops out at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sitting there going, we're learning how to deal with people in crisis. I've now realized I've been people in crisis. If cops are learning how to help people, how can we not add in even just a little bit, an hour block of how to help us in crisis? Because if I'm dealing with it, there's got to be others.
Sure.
Right? And I'm not the only one that's ever gone to war and become a cop.
Yeah.
Right? So I approached the director of CIT, the county director of CIT for Belleville County, and I said, "Listen, man, what can we do? What? How can I help? This is my story, man." Interestingly enough, that night, it was the night before Sergeant Ryan Wilson. Ryan Wilson? No, not Ryan Wilson. Sergeant Wilson from Philadelphia PD.
Yeah.
I'm blanking.
GameStop.
Yes, I'm blanking on his first name. The night before his funeral, which I was going to attend. I make it a point to try and go to any line of duty I can. And after speaking with him, he was on board. Great, awesome. So we go out to the bar, and I wasn't having a bad night or anything. just, I don't know if I saw something on Facebook or something, like just some brought up some memories, and I wasn't suicidal, sad, or anything. I just drank a lot that night and got very emotional over Afghanistan again. And I ended up calling cop to cop, not for help. I just wanted to talk to a cop that had been in combat. Just talk to him. You know, I was.
So you're drunk at this point. You think?
Shit faced.
Yeah.
I was shit faced. Like,
but you had the insight to call them.
Yes, it's like 2-3 in the morning, and I remember like I was sitting like I was in my corner like crying. Like, and again, I wasn't sad, depressed, or suicidal or anything like that. I was just emotional over Afghanistan, and just a lot of shit was manifesting for no reason at all. And I remember Gunnar looking at me like, he's like, fuck, I don't even know what to do. And he's sitting there, and I'm like, you know, I'm petting him, and, you know, my wife, and I guess we're dating at the time. Mm-hmm. Maybe engaged. She's going to kill me. I can't remember when we got engaged. But, you know, she knows, like, sometimes I just, like, hey, you know what? Sometimes I'm just going to tie a few on because I just want to, right? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. Sure. Oh, and I still today, there's nothing wrong with drinking. If you want to drink a 6-pack because you just want to have a night, you just want to like kick back, nothing wrong with that. If you do it every night, that's the problem, right? Yeah. So she's like, you good? I said, I'm not bad. Just, I'm going to be, just let me, back up. I'm good with Gunnar. Yeah. So what I did was I said, listen, I know I'm drunk. I said, babe, put the gun somewhere. Because at this point now I have access to a firearm. And I know, I just went to the glass, 66% more likely. I said, I'm drunk. I don't want to be stupid. Yeah. Because as I said in my podcast, I said there's 2 types of suicides. There's planned, as I had, and impulsive. Right? I didn't want to do a knee-jerk decision like, because who knows where the rest of the night was going. I said, just put it somewhere. And she knew, you know, she knows how to handle it safely, does what she does. I don't ask her that. It's the same, I equivalent it to, you know, I had too much to drink tonight. Do you mind driving me home?
Sure, same thing.
That's all it is. Yeah. Could I get home from, is it a chance I could drive home fine? Sure. Is there a chance I could hit a van full of a family and kids and kill them all and kill myself? Absolutely.
But the fact that you recognize that is
I took a precaution. Yeah. And it all it was. So, ended up calling cop to cop. The guy I talked to was great. He said, hey, what's your name? I said, Mike. He said, where do you work? I said, I don't want to. He said, okay. Mike, I was like, I need to talk to someone who's been in combat. And he's like, I'm not that guy. I'll find you someone. It's 2 a.m. though. Like, it's going to take time. If you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. Every like 10, 30 seconds, I'm just going to like be like, yeah, you good? That's all I want to do. So, okay. I was so shit-faced, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know Jesus' voice. Like, I don't know who I talked to later that night. But, so the next morning, I'm at Sergeant Wilson's funeral at Temple's. I think it was at Temple. It's hot inside there. I just felt awful. And I said, I'm going sober again. I'm going sober. Like, I'm not, like, I can't even honor my, like, I had to go to the bathroom to throw up. I said, I can't even honor my brother.
Wow.
And I said, this is disgraceful. Like, I don't know him, but he's my brother, and I'm disgracing him. I said, I'm done. So I cold turkey again, went sober.
How long you think?
That one was like 11 months. They were both about a year, just shy of a year. And each time I decided I wanted to, but every time I went sober, I never set a goal.
No, it's
I also said, you know, my friends, and so back to, just to jump back a little bit, when we talked about my friends and like, had they realized anything or anything like that? Like, if they did, I think they're amazing friends. So when I first went sober, the whole reason, aside from like knowing I needed to change, we're at the bar after CrossFit, because that's what you do, right? You go to the gym, then you drink. And I ordered a water, and my best friend Evan goes,
Bitch.
he goes, and then I ordered another water. And I think after the third water, he goes, "What, are you sober?" And he didn't say it condescendingly. Like, the way I've known him my whole life. And I said, "I don't know." And I just kept ordering water. That led into 2 days a week. And
is he a cop or just a?
No, he's a fireman.
Okay.
Actually. And he even said, he's like, "Look, once it became a thing, I said, look, Evan, I don't know if this is gonna last. I don't know. I'm not putting a goal on this." He goes, "Well, do you want us to not drink? Do you want us to stop? Do you want us to?"
Very honorable.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh my God, you guys, like, no." Like, he's like, "Do you want us to come over? We can literally just hang out." I'm like, what do you mean hang out? Like, what are we all going to do if we're sober? Like, all of us are sober? Like, oh God. I said, "Listen, guys, I appreciate it. But your problems aren't my problems."
Yeah.
I really, and that's why I think, like, I think they may have seen some things, but they didn't want to insinuate anything. And it was pretty cool, the progression of events, because without them, I don't know if I could have done it. And it was awesome. So now we're back to the second period of sobriety. And again, I always said, I said, "Look, if the next day I have a beer in my hand, if you come up to me and be like, 'What are you doing?' I'll probably punch you in the face, because I'm a grown-ass man and I want a beer." Sure. Like, that's how it is. Yeah. I'm not sober like the rest of my life, or I may never have a beer again. Who knows? It's literally a day at a time.
During this time, do you think could you have asked your employer for any type of help, or what if, like, did you ever feel like if you had told them, "I'm dealing with this," or "I had this going on," or "I was at CIT training and I felt this type of way," or like, did you feel like you could approach them?
Well, I started teaching to say, yes, you absolutely, like, look, I am here to say it's okay to say you're not okay. Right?
So you're the advocate now.
I'm advocating for that. Now,
where did I also, the academy or
at CAT. Okay. So I was training, I was getting to speak in front of seasoned police officers.
Awesome.
So for your question, I mean, I didn't feel that I needed to go to my PD, because I knew from the first time I went sober, like, there wasn't an issue, right? I just the reason for going sober the second time was because of the way I felt I disrespected our brother.
Okay.
Right? I felt like I didn't find it prudent enough to not drink so much the night before, knowing I had to do that. I'm like, well, there's probably other things in my life that I'm not going to be able to stop drinking enough. So let me pump the brakes, pull it back a little bit, get a cleanse in. Like, that's probably good for me, right? Because I wasn't depressed, suicidal, or anything like that. So I didn't figure out like it was a need to bring my department into it. But advocating for it and having gone in my initial interview, laid all the cards out on the table, suffice to say, like, if there was an issue, I would have at that time said, "Yo, PD, I got a problem. I need help." Right?
You told them during the interview what the worst day of your life was.
Yep.
Wow.
I tried to kill myself. This is what happened, but this is how I got better, and here I am today.
So what's the time frame between that you got hired, the time you're teaching in CIT, and what you're about to tell everyone?
I got hired April 13th, 2013. I go back to the academy. Thanks, PTC. That's great. January 14, 2014. So June. I think I went to CIT. When was Robert Wilson?
Yeah.
He killed. It was that next year. I started that following class. I started teaching. I think it was that class or the next. Maybe it was the second time I taught.
2014 or 2015? So it's like 2 years later.
Yeah, it was like maybe a year and a half, 2 years later.
You're a cop. You're helping other cops.
Yeah, I'm helping other cops, doing what I can, really trying to, do good.
Sure.
Right. The police suicide, first responder suicide, not just police, right? First responder, or just suicide in general. We had guys. There was guys in our unit. Randall Stevenson, Steve-O, he killed himself.
Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Cop.
No, just active duty Marine, recon Marine. A couple other guys had. There were some things that happened. There was interventions in time. So it's just like, I'm like, you know what? I have something I can try and help with. And that's why we do what we do, right? If we can help one person, we help them. We see someone in distress, we help them.
Sure. That's
what we're here for. So it had to be the second time I taught, because I remember it was a Thursday night. I worked a Thursday night. I got done at 7 a.m. I went home, picked Gunner up, get changed. I'm back at class. Up all night. Now I taught during the day. After I teach, I help with some role playing and things like that. I go home on a Friday. Now I'm married. I have 2016 now, because my kid was born. Yeah, so it's a couple years later.
Okay.
Yeah, semantics for the actual date.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm home with our one son. She goes out, and it's Friday night. It's late. I'm exhausted, and I hear knock the door. Dogs go ballistic. I open the door, and both my lieutenants are there, and I see their body cams on. Yeah.
Time out. Not a timeout for this part. Did anything else? There's nothing else besides you becoming a CIT instructor.
Mm-hmm.
During your interview for this department, you put all the cards out on the table.
All of them.
And there's no other.
And even through they after I started working there, I was sober.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wasn't sober. They went to my wedding. These same people went to my wedding. Yep.
So they
saw me. They've seen me sober, drunk. They've seen me shit faced. They've seen me in all aspects, right? Maybe not. They haven't seen me 2012.
Yeah.
Andrew, but suffice to say, no actions that I have done since I was hired.
There's not an internal investigation. There's not a use of force claim, or there's nothing that no red flag you're getting thrown.
I mean, I had IAs, but not.
Yeah, but
nothing.
On a Friday night at what time?
I was 9. I was late.
And these guys show up. Something's up.
I see the lights on the body cams. These body cams were newer at this time. And my first thought was, holy shit, I'm going to jail. And no one else is here to watch my kid. This is great. And I guess my eyes said it. Remember that body language I talked about with the Afghan soldier? Sure. I guess my body language spoke volumes, because the one guy said, you're not in trouble. And I said, I beg to differ. You got, what's up? And they go, do you mind if we come? I think that was the worst. Me saying, sure. That was the worst thing I ever did. Because I didn't know. Years now, I understand my, rights as a citizen more,
Yeah, sure.
I'm looking at lieutenants, and I'm going to tell them no.
Yeah. So what? So
they come in and they explain very little. They tell me that there's some things that came up while teaching. They are worried for my. I don't want to put the exact words, because I don't think they said mental health or anything like that. They wanted to make sure I was okay. I was suspended immediately, charged with conduct on becoming a police officer, and going to be sent for a fit for duty evaluation. They seized my firearm, which is fine. That's not my gun. That is theirs. Yeah. No problem with that at all. They seized 2 rifles that were gifted to me, which we'll get to that in a second. They had me sign a piece of paper without a union rep. No chance to even have a union rep present. And on it, I was put on a gag order. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody about it. And I said, well, I had just come back from bereavement leave. My grandmother had passed away. And I said, well, we're a small department. When I'm not on the schedule next week, people are going to call me. Well, their answer was just tell them we gave you some more days off to help your mom or aunt, with your grandmother. I'm like, yes, because I'm that special. You're just going to give me extra days off. I'm like, that's great. I said, does my sergeant know what's going on? I said, no. So not only does my sergeant not know what's going on, but when I don't show up for work the next shift and he calls me asking me what's going on, I have to lie to him. In theory, because now I don't know what, I didn't understand, when they said gag order, I really didn't understand what that meant, but they explained that I can't talk to anybody about it. And so essentially I feel if I talk to anybody about it, I can get in more trouble. And what's worse than already with the thought of losing your job? So I'm like, this is awful. I have to lie to my partner, my sergeant. Like, what do I tell my wife when she comes back? Because I was, I'm not Tackleberry. I don't carry because I want to. I carry because I refuse to be a victim, but more so, I refuse to not be able to help anybody. And I don't want to be in a situation to not be able to protect anybody when I could.
Sure.
So when I go to get dressed tomorrow, and if we go somewhere and she doesn't see me put my gun on, she's going to go, what's going on?
So was there a point in time where you thought to yourself, what did I say during that class?
I had no idea what it had to do with that class. But they didn't get, so they leave, right? And now I'm sitting on my couch. I look back now, this is the first time I thought about it. I'm really impressed. I didn't immediately just go grab a beer. I sat there. like in theory, I wouldn't have been wrong to grab at least a beer to just be like, holy shit, I need to just feel like a beer's, well, fucking cheers.
Good idea.
Fuck it. I just sat there and I was so, holy shit, I'm losing my career. And I had no idea what was going on. Now, we did have a guy who committed suicide in our PD earlier that year. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm getting put into what the hell is going on? So I'm sitting there, what did I say? What's going on here?
Do you know to this day what
I found out?
Do you care?
Yeah. So but that night, more than after I got the whole I'm losing my job thing lasted maybe 5 minutes. Then reality hit that, holy shit. I at this time I became passionate about teaching and speaking out about being silent on suicide awareness, right? Sure. I want cops and first responders to say, look, man, it's okay. I need help. And that's when that got me. I said, I'm actively advocating that it's okay to reach out for help, because gone are the days where if you say, I need to speak with someone, they're like, well, you're done. And now my career's in jeopardy. So who the hell is going to ask for help when they see the guy who's teaching them to ask for help is about to lose his job, potentially?
Amen.
Right? I could care less about my job at that point. I said, holy shit, I can't even teach anymore. I can't preach what I'm trying to teach.
Here we are having this conversation on this topic.
And I'm like...
And you're the guy teaching about it.
So, fast forward, I don't get sent for Fit for Duty for almost 2.5 weeks. Now,
That wasn't a stressful 2 weeks.
No.
Holy shit.
It was a great vacation, when my phone's going off. Why aren't you on the schedule? Where are you? I will say there was a person I work with. Hey, what's going on? Look, I can't talk about it. What's going on?
Can't talk about it.
Listen, I can't talk about it, and I refuse to lie to you. Don't ask me questions. Don't, just please. Come over for a beer. I can do that. Come over for a beer, and this person says the way he phrased questions was very good. Did not buy it, and it was very clever.
For the good or for the bad?
Because it was able to put the puzzle together without me breaking any type of gag order, right? And it made a really good conversation. Because I was like, I might be losing my job, right? So I go to the Fit for Duty, and ironically enough, I sit next to a kid who has a newly shaved head, and he looks like he's 12. And I'm like, I look at the thing they gave me, I'm like, I've done this one before. Like, these assholes think I'm not. They're like, excuse me? Yeah, not here to get hired, I'm here to get fired. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm here for a Fit for Duty. They're like, oh, yeah, it's a completely different test. I'm like, yes, I can pass this one with flying colors. Can I take this one too, just to prove I'm fine? So I take this. I'm filling out these questionnaires, and there were some other things prior to this that had happened, disciplinary wise, that were kind of bullshit in my eyes. For instance, so I had to write down disciplinary actions. I was charged with, I took a 3-day rip for intoxication and partial uniform. What's the first thing that comes to mind with you?
Drunk at work.
Yeah. You know where I was?
Probably home.
No. You know what uniform? Well, here, I was the drinker for the HTN class.
Come on, man.
And I had my badge in my wallet as per policy.
Come on.
Obviously, you see, I do not like to look like a cop when I'm not working.
So you're at work being paid to drink?
I wasn't even at work. I was volunteering.
Yeah.
With a guy from another department who drove me there. And you are legally allowed to be there.
Yeah.
Because I'm an adult. And I will say I drank a little too much. A lot too much. It was right after the second period of sobriety. It's like, and it was all Jameson. I'm actually
experiment though.
Yeah, so I did not help. I didn't actually last the whole day. I drank a whole bottle of Jameson and almost. And anyway, he took a picture of me passed out. He posted it on social media. I said, "Oh, dude, just take that down." Like, and he wasn't malicious. He said, "You're right." Yeah, it got around. They get word like I couldn't help the class. So like, yeah, I messed up. I'll take it. I'll take the rip. I own that one.
Yeah.
I wasn't responsible enough to just get drunk. I got you. Won't happen again. End up getting the 3-day rip for intoxication partial uniform. When I see that, I'm like, well, I said I would own up to it. So if I fight this, I'm now reneging on my word. I can't do that. So I took it. All right. Never thinking I'd be in an office putting disciplinary actions for Fit for Duty, intoxication and partial uniform. I'm like, so the doctor was there. I was like, yo, can I explain this later, please? He's like, Thank you. So I find out that their reason for sending me, among some other things, was the story I told about having my wife put the gun somewhere. Even though I explained, even while teaching, that it's not because I was suicidal, depressed, it literally any type of way other than negatively reminiscing about Afghanistan, right? Like, it wasn't like happy memories.
Sure.
But it was, and I even, when I teach, I say I equivalent it to I've had too much to drink, you drive me home. That was the one piece of evidence. The second piece was an article I wrote for a magazine on my racing with Gunner and what he's done for me. And I explained how, as a cop, I can tell the whole, I can push you away. Not as a cop, it's assault. One of the things he does is creates that buffer. He can literally push you away. He will walk backwards into you, and he loves it because he's like, yeah, get in my way, right? And another piece of evidence was an Instagram post. Happy birthday to the dog that saved my life.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that was one of the pieces of evidence. And I'm looking at this, and I understand. I understand. We had a guy commit suicide. It's tragic. I get it. But the whole time I'm looking at this, I'm like, and this is why guys kill themselves.
Yeah.
This is the reason why. You don't care. You're just trying to take the liability away. Right? So, for instance, that night that they came and took my duty away, right? And this was I got to testify up in New York about this whole thing, and it caused a couple hour conversation about when do you take the badge and gun, right? And I said, look, there is a time. Absolutely. But if that becomes that point, well, it's probably good to also get the immediate help.
Sure. So did they?
I took my guns and left. I said, don't talk to anybody. We'll talk to you in a few weeks. And so the problem is...
That is a problem.
And they knew, remember from my interview, I was very upfront. I already tried to kill myself. So I understand where I'm not going to fault them for being a little more heightened. I get it. Understand.
Yeah, but to not...
but I have to, I will play devil's advocate to my own argument all the time. But when I told my story, literally said, because I didn't have access to a firearm, and I didn't want to do that to my family, pills. So if I tried it once with pills,
do it again. Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that to my family, why would I want to do that to my wife, my new wife, and new kid? So suffice to say that if I was suicidal, which I wasn't, it would probably be pills again.
Yeah.
Right?
They didn't confiscate all the pills at your house.
Yeah. If you were that worried, the other issue is they illegally seized my rifles. They were gifted to me. In the state of New Jersey, you cannot seize personal weapons without a court order. You cannot get a court order unless someone is involuntarily committed to an institution from 30 years or more.
They did that part wrong, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. So, and that was so I'm sitting there talking to him. I said, Doc, I don't know. I'm teaching this stuff. I don't know what they want. They think I'm going to tell you. I don't know what you're going to tell them. Because I feel like you and I are the people that teach, we're on the same page here, right? So I get a call. So I leave there and I'm just like, if they don't trust me, I can't work. I can't work. I gotta work somewhere else. And I will say, I know I knew going into it, right? Anywhere I went with my past, if I ever got in a police involved shooting, I almost expect a day one defense attorney to bring that
coming out. Yeah.
Bring it up. You should. I would be like, dude, you probably should bring that up.
Yeah.
Here's my argument. Of the 25-man PD I worked for, I was the only one in that police department that had been shot at, that had shot back at anybody, actual human, and been shot at before and purposely chose not to shoot back for, whatever the reason was. There was a couple of times. So if I were to have been involved in a shooting, suffice to say that with someone else in that department, if we both pulled the triggers, thousands, millions, however many synapses or brain functions, more went through my head before I pulled the trigger than the other person.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have that experience. Yeah.
That's my argument. So I get a call. You're clear to come back to work. Great. So now I'm back to work. The rumors are going, and there's a couple of new guys that were hired, and now they know they're working with the guy that was crazy. Yeah. And it's just a shitty feeling, right? And they give me my guns back at work, so I got to carry them in my car. And I'm like, this is awful. And I said, I can't work anymore. And it just let down. I just became like, I became better. I had a sergeant at the time who really said, look, man, I get it. I don't blame you, but don't let them win. Like, don't shut down. Like, do what you got to do. Come to work. Do what you got to do. And so I did.
If there was one thing that you thought that was like that helped you along the way, besides Gunner, who was your right hand man. Now you're fast forward a few years. What? Anything else that like stood out to you at that point? Did you attend therapy, or was there any medication?
So for my recovery, right? There was obviously I talked about the chief, Gunner. Jill was really good. I mean, she got it. She really put up with a lot. Yeah, my wife Jill. She put up with a lot. My best friends. And I remember once I started talking, my roommate at the time, she messaged me and she said, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I said, exactly. That's how good I was at hiding, right? But then I got involved with the nonprofit, Operation Enduring Warrior, and they challenged me to do a lot of things. And there was just this community, like Earl talks about, that community of just people. For me, therapy really never worked. I didn't like therapy, and the reason why I tried group therapy at the VA, and I had to stop because I found myself being too judgmental, and I hated that part about me, because at that time, I was in the Uncle Rico stage, and I hated myself for trying to, I didn't like that. That I was, no, there's no way you did that. Oh my God, look at you. There's no way for that. I was like, nope, this is worse for me than it is better for me. And I found the community in the group chat that I'm in, the guys from OEW.
Was that after the incident with the department?
It's all kind of around the same time. This is around the same time.
Okay. So can you just for the viewers that are watching, just OAW, just in a
So Operation Enduring Warrior, it's a nonprofit. The mission is to honor, power, motivate our nation's wounded veterans, police officers, and firefighters, essentially getting them to kind of live their lives again after a tragic event. We have great programs. The race program, which they challenged me to do after Trooper Cullen was killed. Sean and I used to work together in West Hampton, and